The meeting room was quiet. Too quiet. Only the soft hum of machines broke the silence. Admiral Deho stood tall before the 10 council members of the Gulim Federation. His gray uniform was clean and pressed, but his eyes showed his worry. "The Krell ships have taken 3 more of our worlds," he said, pointing to the star map. Red dots marked the fallen planets. "Our outer defenses are breaking." Council leader Minji rubbed her tired eyes. She had not slept in 3 days. None of them had. The Krell attack had come without warning 6 weeks ago. The bug-like aliens moved through space in huge ships that looked like giant insects. They had already eaten through 3 star systems. "How many people did we lose?" she asked. 8 million on Tura, 12 million on Seoul. "We don't know about Pari yet." "The communication links are down," Deho answered. His voice was flat, but his hands shook slightly. Hojin, the youngest council member, slammed his fist on the table. "We sent calls for help to every race in the Alliance. The Vex, the Orin, even the Talon worlds. None have answered." "They are afraid," said Minji. "The Krell have never attacked like this before, always one world at a time at the edges of known space. Now they strike at the heart of the Federation. The other races watch and hope the Krell will be full after eating us." The star map changed to show the Krell's path. A wave of red moving steadily toward the Gulim homeworld. "How long do we have?" asked Minji. 3 weeks. "Maybe 4, said Deho. "Our ships fight well, but there are too many Krell. For each one we destroy, 10 more take its place." The council room fell silent again. 10,000 years of Gulim history might end in less than a month. "There may be one more option," said Gina, the head scientist. All eyes turned to her. She rarely spoke at these meetings. She walked to the controls and brought up an image of a small blue planet. "This world. The locals call it Earth. The primitives?" Hojin laughed without humor. "They barely leave their own planet." "That data is old," Gina said. "We stopped watching them closely 200 years ago. Our deep space monitors show they now have ships that move between the planets in their system. Even if they have local space travel, they cannot help us," said Deho. "They are too far away and too few." "Maybe," said Gina. "But they have something no other race has." She paused. "They are unknown to the Krell, and they fight differently." She showed recordings from Earth's history. Battles, wars, humans fighting with all kinds of weapons. Most races in our part of the galaxy grew up with few resources. They learned to work together out of need. But Earth is rich in materials. These humans fought each other for most of their history. They are very good at war. "Even if that's true," said Minji, "how would we reach them? They are 47 light years away. Too far for normal messages." Gina smiled for the first time in weeks. "We have the ancient beacon." The room grew tense. The ancient beacon was a device discovered by the Gulim 300 years ago. It was built by a race long gone from the galaxy. The beacon could send messages instantly across vast distances, but the Gulim had never fully understood how it worked. "The beacon is for emergencies only," said Minji. "And we don't know if these humans would even understand our message, if not now." "When?" asked Gina. "We are facing the end of our people, and the beacon's data shows it once connected to Earth. Long ago. These humans might understand more than we think." After hours of talk, the council voted. They would send a message to Earth. Along with it, they would send all their knowledge about the Krell and Gulim technology. If the humans couldn't help, maybe they could at least remember that the Gulim once existed. In a small room deep under the main city, Deho and Gina stood before the ancient beacon. The device looked simple, a metal column with glowing blue lines running through it, but its power was beyond anything the Gulim could build. "Are you sure this will work?" asked Deho. "No," said Gina honestly. "But we have no better choice." She pressed her hand to the control panel. The beacon hummed louder. Blue light filled the room. "Message ready?" said the computer voice. "Target, Earth. Distance, 47.3 light-years. Message will include Gulam historical records, technological data, military information, and distress. Call. Send it, said Deho. The beacon flashed once, blindingly bright. Then the room was normal again. Is that it? Asked Deho. Did it work? The message is sent, said Gina. Now we wait. On Earth, in the deep space listening station in the mountains of what was once called Colorado, a young technician named Park jumped as her console lit up with alerts. Sir, she called to her supervisor, I'm getting something strange. Commander Lee came over, looking tired after a 12-hour shift. What is it, Park? A signal, but not like anything I've seen before. She pointed to her screen. It's not using any known frequency, and it's strong. Very strong. Lee frowned and looked at the data. The signal was indeed powerful, far more than any human satellite or probe could send. And it was aimed directly at Earth. Can you decode it? He asked. I'm trying, but it's not in any language we know. Park worked quickly. There's something else strange about it. The message seems to be changing itself to match our computer systems. Changing itself? Lee's voice showed his concern. Like a virus? No, not attacking. More like translating. Park watched as the strange symbols on her screen slowly transformed into letters and numbers. Sir, I think it's learning our language from our computer database. For 3 hours they watched as the alien message reshaped itself. Then suddenly clear English text appeared on the screen. To the people of Earth, Park read aloud, her voice shaking slightly. We are the Gulam Federation. Our civilization faces extinction. An enemy called the Krell attacks our worlds. Our allies have abandoned us. You are our last hope. Lee's face went pale. Is this real? Or some kind of joke? Sir, look at this. Park showed him the data packages attached to the message. Star maps, ship designs, weapons technology, medical information. This is everything. An entire alien civilization's knowledge. Get the director, said Lee, his voice low and serious, and contact the Joint Chiefs. Now. As Park made the calls, Lee kept reading the message. The last part made his blood run cold. We do not know if you have the ability to help us. We do not know if you will choose to help strangers across the stars. But we have observed your kind from afar. Of all the races we know, you humans fight the hardest when protecting others. If our civilization falls, we send you our knowledge in hope that you will remember us. If you can help, we will be forever in your debt. The Krell believe no one will come to our aid. They do not know about Earth. They do not know about humans. And that may be their biggest mistake. The message ended with detailed coordinates for the Gulam homeworld and the current positions of the Krell fleet. Outside the listening station, the night was quiet. Stars shone brightly over the mountains. None of the people on Earth knew yet that everything was about to change. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their first contact with alien life was a desperate call for help. The large meeting room under the United Nations building in New York was filled with people. World leaders, military chiefs, and top scientists sat around a huge table. The room was designed to be safe from any spy technology. No signals could get in or out. General Kim stood at the front of the room. Behind him, a large screen showed star maps and strange ship designs. 3 days had passed since the alien message had reached Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, his voice strong and clear. Everything we are about to discuss is real. It is not a joke or a drill. 3 days ago, we received a message from an alien civilization called the Gulam Federation. Some people in the room shifted in their seats. Others looked at each other with wide eyes. Even though they had been told why they were here, many still could not believe it. The Gulam are 47 light-years away from Earth. They are being attacked by another alien race called the Krell. Kim pointed to some pictures on the screen. They showed bug-like ships moving through space. The Gulam will not survive without help. They have asked Earth to help them. Can we be sure this is real? Asked the Chinese president. It could be a very complex trick. Dr. Jun, the head scientist of the space agency, stood up. We have checked everything. The signal came from deep space. The technology details they sent us are far beyond what we have, but they work with our science. Laws. This is real. She took a deep breath. We are not alone in the universe, and our neighbors need our help. The room was quiet for a moment as everyone took in this news. Even if this is real, said the Russian leader, what can we do? We have never gone beyond our own solar system. General Kim nodded to another man at the side of the room. Admiral Park walked to the front. He was the head of Earth's Space Defense Force, a military group formed 20 years ago to protect Earth's space stations and moon bases. The Gulim have shared all their technology with us, said Park, including how their ships travel between stars. Our engineers have been working for 3 days. We believe we can add their jump drive to our ships. Our ships were not built for war, said the Indian Prime Minister. Admiral Park smiled a little. Not all of them. He pressed a button, and the screen changed to show large gray ships in a secret space dock. Project Guardian has been running for 15 years. Each country in this room has helped build these ships. They were meant to protect Earth if we ever found hostile aliens. The Dreadnought fleet, whispered the British Prime Minister. I thought they were still being designed. The first 10 ships are ready, said Park. With the Gulim technology, we can make them much better, and we can make them travel to the Gulim worlds. This is all happening too fast, said the French president. These aliens are strangers to us. Why should we risk our ships and our people to help them? The room became noisy with people talking at once. Some agreed with France, others thought Earth should help. Please, said a voice from the doorway. Everyone turned to look. A young woman walked into the room. She was small, with short black hair. It was Park Subin, the technician who had first picked up the alien signal. Excuse me for speaking, she said, but I have read all the Gulim messages. I have seen their history. They are good people. They build things, they learn things just like us. The Krell don't talk or make deals. They just take. If they finish with the Gulim, they will keep going. One day, they might find Earth. She walked to the front and took a small data pad from her pocket. The Gulim could have kept their technology secret. They could have just asked for a place to hide. Instead, they sent us everything they know, hoping we would use it after they are gone. She played a video on the main screen. It showed a beautiful blue-green planet, cities shining in the night, then ships coming from space, weapons firing, the cities burning. This was sent yesterday. It is the Krell attacking a Gulim world called Hala. 12 billion people live there. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were wet with tears. Now it is gone. The room was very quiet. When we looked to the stars, Subin said, we always ask, are we alone? Now we know we are not. The question now is, what kind of neighbors will we be? The kind who close their doors when they hear a cry for help? Or the kind who come running? General Kim thanked her, and she left the room. The world leaders looked at each other. If we do nothing, said the American president slowly, and these Krell come to our system one day, who will help us? One by one, the leaders spoke. By the end of the day, they had all agreed, Earth would help the Gulim. 1 week later, Admiral Park stood in the control room of Earth's biggest space station. Through the window he could see the ships, 10 huge gray dreadnoughts, each one a mile long. They had been built in secret, piece by piece over many years. Now they were being changed using the Gulim plans. Dr. Jun floated up beside him in the zero gravity. The jump drives are in place, she said. The weapons have been upgraded. The ships are ready. And the crews? Asked Park. All on board. 20,000 of Earth's best soldiers and engineers. Jun looked out at the ships. They understand they might not come back. Park nodded. He had talked to each ship captain. They knew the risk. They were going to fight aliens 47 light years from home, but they had all volunteered, some for adventure, some to protect Earth, some because helping others was the right thing to do. We send the first message to the Guilem in 1 hour, said June. Then the fleet leaves tomorrow. Park looked at the closest ship. On its side was painted the Earth flag. Under it in large letters was the ship's name, EDF Protector. Did you read all the Guilem data? He asked June. Some, not all. There's too much, she said. They have been watching us for centuries. They know we fight wars. They know we can be violent. Park turned to look at her. But they still asked us for help. Why? June smiled. I asked Subin the same thing. She found something in their message. The Guilem have a saying, judge people not by how they treat their friends, but by how they treat strangers in need. The next day, the Earth fleet left orbit. In the control room, Park and Jun watched as the ships moved into position. One by one, the jump drives started. Blue energy covered each ship. Then, in flashes of light, they were gone. Earth had answered the call. The dreadnoughts were on their way. Commander Yuna crouched in the broken building, trying not to make any sound. Outside, Krell soldiers walked through the streets of the Guilem capital city. The bug-like aliens were tall, with hard outer shells and 4 arms. They moved in groups, checking each building for any Guilem who might be hiding. Yuna's team of 20 soldiers had been fighting for 6 days without rest. They were the last organized fighting group on the planet's surface. Their job was to protect the evacuation center where thousands of Guilem civilians waited for ships to take them to safety. But no ships were coming. The Krell controlled the skies now. Commander, whispered Saiwan, her second in command. We're almost out of ammo, and the food is gone. Yuna nodded. She knew their situation was bad. How many civilians are still at the center? About 5,000, said Siwon. Mostly children and elders. Yuna closed her eyes for a moment. 5,000 lives depended on her small team. But what could 20 tired soldiers do against the entire Krell army? Her radio made a soft noise. It was Jinwoo, their communication expert, calling from the evacuation center. Commander, he said, his voice excited. We're picking up strange signals from the edge of our star system, energy patterns we've never seen before, and there's a message being broadcast on all channels. What message? asked Yuna. It's in a strange language, said Jinwoo. But the computer is translating it. It says, Attention Guilem forces. This is Admiral Minjun of the Earth Expeditionary Fleet. We received your call for help. Our ships are entering your system now. Hold your positions. Yuna's heart beat faster. Earth? The humans got our message. They came? It seems so, said Jinwoo. And Commander, there are a lot of ships, hundreds of them. Yuna turned to her team. They all looked tired and dirty, but their eyes were now wide with hope. The humans are here, she said. We just need to hold on a little longer. On the bridge of the EDF Protector, Admiral Minjun watched the screens showing the Guilem homeworld. The blue-green planet was surrounded by Krell ships. Hundreds of the bug-like vessels moved in a tight formation, preparing to land more troops on the surface. They haven't noticed us yet, said Captain Tajan, who stood beside him. The jump brought us in behind the 4th moon, just as planned. Minjun nodded. The Earth fleet had arrived at the edge of the Guilem system just 2 hours ago. They had used the moons and planets to hide their approach, gathering information about the enemy. What's the situation on the planet? Minjun asked. Lieutenant Jia, the sensor officer, checked her screens. Most cities are destroyed. We detect only a few spots where Guilem life signs are still strong. One big group is here in what looks like a stadium or large building. She pointed to a spot on the map. That must be an evacuation center, said Minjun. Any Guilem ships still fighting? A few, said Jia. Small groups in the outer system, but they can't get past the Krell blockade around the planet. Minjun looked at the tactical display again. The 10 Earth dreadnoughts had been joined by 20 smaller but faster ships that had jumped in a few minutes ago. More were on the way, but they were still outnumbered by the Krell. We need to break that blockade, said Minjun. Captain Tajan, prepare the fleet for attack. Our first job is to clear a path to that evacuation center. Tajan nodded and began giving orders. Around them, the bridge crew worked quickly at their stations. Most of them had never seen real battle before, but they had trained for years for this kind of mission. Protect the weak, save lives. It was what the Earth Defense Force was built for. "Admiral," said Gia suddenly, "the Krell ships are changing position. I think they've spotted us." On the main screen, the bug ships were turning, moving into attack groups. "They're fast," said Taijin with surprise. "But predictable," said Minjun, watching their movement. "They fight like insects, each ship a part of a larger pattern." He smiled slightly. "Humans have been killing bugs for thousands of years." He pressed a button on his chair. His voice would now be heard by every ship in the Earth fleet. "All ships. This is Admiral Minjun. The enemy has seen us. We are now at war with the Krell. Remember what we came here to do." The Gulim asked for our help when no one else would answer. "Today we show the galaxy what happens when you mess with our neighbors." He looked at Taijin and nodded. "All ships, weapons free, attack pattern Delta. Let's introduce ourselves." From the broken window of the evacuation center, Yuna watched the sky change. Bright flashes of light appeared high above like new stars being born and dying in seconds. The Krell ships, which had been landing troops all day, suddenly shot back up into the sky. "What's happening?" asked Siwan, who stood beside her. Before Yuna could answer, a new kind of ship appeared in the sky. It was huge, gray, and shaped nothing, like Gulim or Krell ships. It moved down through the clouds, firing blue energy beams at the Krell ships. Two more like it followed. "The humans," whispered Yuna. "They really came." As they watched, more ships filled the sky. Some were big, like floating cities. Others were smaller and faster, zipping between the clouds. But they all had the same markings, a blue and white symbol that must be the flag of Earth. The radio in Yuna's hand came to life. "This is Captain Jung-ho of the Earthship Defender. We're approaching your position. We have troops and supplies to help you. Please hold on." Yuna looked at her tired soldiers. For the first time in weeks, they were smiling. "Tell them we're waiting," she said to Jinwoo. "And tell them, thank you for coming." In space, the battle was fierce. The Krell had many ships, but the Earth vessels had better weapons. The human dreadnoughts moved in a careful pattern, protecting each other's weak spots. When one fired its main guns, the others covered it until it could fire again. On the bridge of the Protector, Admiral Minjun watched the battle with a calm face, but inside he felt proud of his people. The fleet was fighting well for their first real battle. "Admiral," said Gia, "we're getting calls from Gulim ships all over the system. They want to join the fight." Minjun smiled. "Send them our attack codes. Tell them to focus on the smaller Krell ships. We'll handle the big ones." As he spoke, a massive Krell ship, bigger than any they had seen yet, moved out from behind the planet. It was heading straight for the Protector. "The enemy flagship," said Taijin. Minjun nodded. "They want to see what we're made of." He looked at his crew. "Let's show them." The Protector turned to face the Krell flagship. Behind it, the other Earth ships moved into position. The Dreadnoughts of Earth, ships that had never been tested in real battle until now, faced the most powerful alien fleet in this part of the galaxy, and they were winning. On the planet below, the Gulim looked up at the sky full of ships. For the first time since the Krell attack began, they felt hope. Someone had heard their call. Someone had come to help. The humans had arrived. 2 weeks after the Earth ships arrived, the main room of the Gulim Defense Center was full of activity. The large round table in the middle showed a moving map of this part of the galaxy. Blue dots marked Gulim worlds. Red dots showed where the Krell controlled. Yellow dots were places still fighting. Admiral Minjun stood with Admiral Daiho, looking at the map. The two men had become friends quickly, even though they came from worlds 47 light years apart. "The Krell are pulling back from your home world," said Minjun. "But they still hold 12 of your colony planets." Daiho nodded. His face showed his tiredness, but also hope. 2 weeks ago, I thought the Gulim would be gone forever. Now we have a chance." He looked at Minjun. "Your ships fight like nothing we have ever seen. Humans have been fighting each other for most of our history, said Minjun. Not something to be proud of, maybe. But it taught us a lot about war. The door opened, and Captain Yuna walked in. She had been one of the last Gulim soldiers fighting, on the ground when the Earthships arrived. Now she worked with the human soldiers, teaching them about Gulim weapons and tactics. The Krell are changing their ships, she said, putting a data disk on the table. The map changed to show new Krell ship designs. They're adding stronger shields to fight your energy weapons. Minjun was not surprised. The Krell are good at adapting. Each battle teaches them about our weaknesses. He looked at Deho. We need to hit them hard before they can adapt too much, and we need to hit them in many places at once. What do you mean? Asked Deho. Minjun touched the map, and it changed again. Now it showed the Earth fleet split into smaller groups. Operation Breaking Storm. We attack 5 Krell-held worlds at the same time. They won't be able to defend them all. Deho looked worried. But your ships will be much weaker if you split them up. That's why we need your help, said Minjun. Your ships are smaller than ours, but they're faster, and your pilots know this part of space better than we do. Yuna stepped closer to the map. How many ships do you need from us? As many as can still fight, said Minjun. This won't be easy. The Krell still have more ships than us, but they've never had to fight on many fronts at once. They always attack one world, beat it, then move to the next. The 3 of them spent hours working on the plan. By the end of the day, Operation Breaking Storm was ready. It would start in 3 days. On the bridge of the Earthship Defender, Captain Youngho watched as Gulim ships took positions around his vessel. His ship would lead the attack on Seol, one of the first Gulim worlds to fall to the Krell. The Gulim ships are in position, said his first officer, Hajin. Their captains say they're ready. Jungho nodded. He had worked with the Gulim for 2 weeks now. At first, the aliens had been careful around the humans, not sure what to make of these strange beings who had come so far to help them. But as they fought side by side, trust grew. Send to all ships, said Jungho. Jump drives ready. We go in 5 minutes. As he waited, Jungho thought about how strange his life had become. 1 month ago, he had been on Earth, training his crew for a war that might never come. Now he was 47 light years from home, leading a fleet of human and alien ships against an enemy that looked like giant bugs. Captain, said Hajin, Admiral Minjun is sending a fleet-wide message. On the main screen, Minjun's face appeared. The Admiral looked tired but determined. To all Earth and Gulim ships, he said. Today we begin Operation Breaking Storm. Our goal is to take back 5 Gulim worlds from the Krell. This will be the first step in pushing the enemy back to their own space. Minjun paused, looking down for a moment. The Krell thought the Gulim were alone. They thought no one would come to help them. They were wrong. Humans travel across the stars to help those in need. That is who we are. That is what we do. His eyes were strong and sure as he finished. Fight well, protect each other. And remember, the Krell may be many, but they have never faced humans and Gulim fighting together. Today we show them what that means. The screen went black. Around Youngho, his crew looked at each other with pride and determination. They were ready. Jump drives active, said the ship's engineer. Ready when you are, Captain. Jungho took a deep breath. All ships, jump now. The space around the ship seemed to bend. Blue light covered each vessel. Then in a flash they were gone from the Gulim home system. When they appeared again, they were near the planet Seol, catching the Krell by surprise. All weapons fire, ordered Youngho. The battle had begun. On 5 different worlds the same scene played out. Earth and Gulim ships appeared suddenly, attacking the surprised Krell forces. The bug-like aliens fought back hard, but the combined fleet had the advantage of surprise. In the Gulim command center, Minjun and Daiho watched the battles on the screens. Reports came in from all 5 attack groups. Group 3 has broken through the Krell lines on Tura, said a communication officer. They're landing ground troops now. Group 5 reports heavy fighting around Pari, said another. The Krell had more ships there than we expected. Minjun studied the map. 4 of the 5 attacks were going well. But Group 5, led by the Earthship Courage, was in trouble. The Krell had a large force at Perry, maybe their main fleet. "Send Group 2 to help Group 5, he ordered. "They've secured their objective already." Deho looked concerned. "The Krell are adapting faster than we expected. Look at these readings." He showed Minjin some data on a small screen. "Their newer ships have shields that can block our main weapons for a short time." Minjin nodded. The Krell were learning from each battle. "But so are we." He pointed to another screen, where Earth engineers were working with Gulim scientists. "Our teams have combined our technology with yours. The new weapons will be ready in 2 days." For 12 hours, the battles raged across 5 star systems. By the end, the combined fleet had taken back 3 Gulim worlds completely. On the other 2, fighting still continued, but the Krell were losing ground. It was the first major defeat for the Krell in this part of the galaxy ever. In a captured Krell ship, Earth scientists found something interesting. The Krell had a new word in their shared mind. A word that meant danger from the unknown place. The word was Earth. The counterattack had begun, and for the first time the Krell knew fear. 6 months after the first Earth ships arrived at the Gulim homeworld, the large meeting hall on Space Station Unity was filled with aliens of all kinds. The station hung in space above Earth, built quickly using both human and Gulim technology. It was made to host beings from many worlds who needed different air and gravity to live. At the center table sat the heroes of the war, Admiral Minjin and General Kim from Earth, beside Admiral Deho and Council Leader Minji from the Gulim. Around them were leaders from 25 other alien civilizations. Some looked almost human, others were very strange, floating gas clouds, crystal beings, and creatures with many arms or eyes. "Welcome to Earth," said President Sunwoo of the Yeo, United Earth Government. 6 months ago, most of us did not know that we shared the galaxy with other thinking beings. Today, we meet as friends, brought together by a common threat. The alien leaders looked at each other. Many of them had known about each other for centuries, but none had ever come to help the Gulim when the Krell attacked. Only humans, the newest and least advanced space-traveling species, had answered the call. Minji stood up. Though small, her voice was strong. "The Krell have been pushed back to their home systems. For the first time in 1,000 years, their advance has been stopped. This would not have been possible without Earth." A tall, blue-skinned alien named Taro, from a race called the Vex, spoke next. "The Vex Council wishes to thank Earth for doing what we did not. We have watched the Krell take world after world for centuries. We were afraid to fight them, as were we," said another alien, a floating ball of light called a Liron. "We hid our worlds with technology so the Krell would not find us. We watched as they ate through the galaxy." Admiral Minjun looked around the room. "Humans have a saying, all that is needed for evil to win is for good people to do nothing. For too long, the good people of this galaxy did nothing as the Krell grew stronger. But that changes today," said General Kim. He touched a control, and a big map of the galaxy appeared above the table. "Today we sign the Galactic Defense Treaty. Any world that signs will be protected by all other members if they are attacked." The alien leaders murmured to each other. Some looked worried. "How can we be sure this protection will come?" asked a rock-like alien from a world called Dern. "The Krell are not gone. They will rebuild their forces. They will attack again." Minjin smiled. "They might, but they will find something different waiting for them." He changed the map to show a new kind of ship. It was huge, with both Gulim and Earth designs. The Defender-class ships, built by humans and Gulim together, with technology shared by any world that joins the treaty. "Together we are stronger than alone," said Admiral Deho. "This is what the humans taught us. The Krell won because we were divided. They will lose because we are now united." One by one, the alien leaders agreed to sign the treaty. By the end of the day, 27 worlds had joined what would become known as the Galactic Alliance. 3 days later, Captain Jung-ho of the Earthship Defender stood with Commander Yuna in a garden on the space station. After fighting together for months, they had become close friends. Tomorrow, Young-ho would take his ship back to Earth for repairs before heading out on a new mission. Will you miss fighting Krell? Asked Yuna with a small smile. Jung-ho laughed. No, but I will miss working with you and your team. He looked out, the window at Earth below them. When I was a boy, I looked at the stars and wondered if anyone else was out there. Now I know the answer. When I was young, said Yuna, I learned about all the other races in our part of the galaxy. But I never thought much about your part of space. It was too far away. We thought your people were still too primitive to travel between stars. We were, said Young-ho. Until your message came. Then we had to learn quickly. Yuna touched his arm gently. Thank you. For coming when no one else would. That's what humans do, he said simply. In the main conference room, Admiral Minjin sat with leaders from Earth and the Gulim. They were planning the next steps for the Alliance. The Krell will be quiet for a while, said Admiral Daeho. But they will try. Again. They always do. And we will be ready, said General Kim. The first joint fleet will be ready in 6 months. Ships from Earth, Gulim, and 3 other worlds all working together. Minji, who had led the Gulim Council through their darkest days, looked at the humans with wonder. When we sent that message to Earth, we had almost no hope. We thought we were sending our final goodbye to the universe. We never really expected anyone to come. But you still sent the message, said Minjun. You still hoped someone would answer. Yes, she said. Hope is sometimes all we have. The Krell don't understand hope, said President Sunwoo. They don't understand why beings from different worlds would fight for each other. That's why they will lose in the end. From the window, they could see ships coming and going from the space station. Earth ships, Gulim ships, and vessels from a dozen other worlds. Some were warships, helping patrol the new Alliance borders. Others were science ships or trade vessels. The galaxy was changing. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Krell were not the most feared power in space. A new order was rising, led by the most unlikely alliance, the ancient Gulim and the young humans of Earth. The Krell had believed that no one would come to help the Gulim. They never imagined that from a small blue planet 47 light-years away, ships would come to darken the skies. Ships filled with beings who would cross the stars to help strangers in need. They never imagined humans, and that had been their biggest mistake. The end.